Welcome back to Tales of Reddit. Today we are reading some of the messiest, most toxic, and absolute craziest revenge stories I could possibly find on the internet. Thank you so much for tuning in. In our very first story today, a cheating wife makes a grand pregnancy announcement at a family dinner, completely unaware that her husband holds a massive secret that is about to destroy her entire life. Grab your snacks, get comfortable, and let us jump straight into story number 1. My wife stood up at our 5th anniversary dinner, clinking her wine glass. With tears in her eyes, she looked at both our families and announced that she was finally pregnant. Everyone gasped. My mother started crying with joy. Her parents hugged her. The only problem? I had a secret vasectomy 3 years ago. I knew she was pregnant, I knew exactly who the father was, and I was about to completely destroy 6 lives in the next 5 minutes. Here is how I did it. My wife, Sarah, and I had been married for 5 years. Around year 3, I realized I absolutely did not want kids, but I knew she did. Instead of arguing, I quietly got a vasectomy, planning to tell her later, but I cowered out. Yes, I was wrong for that, but what she did next was pure evil. About 6 months ago, Sarah started acting strange. Her phone was permanently on Do Not Disturb. She started taking girls' trips every other weekend, and she suddenly became obsessed with her fitness. My gut screamed that something was wrong, but I did not confront her. I did not check her phone. I played the long game. I bought a voice-activated hidden recorder and slipped it under the passenger seat of her car. For 2 weeks, I heard nothing. But on a Tuesday afternoon, I hit the jackpot. I listened to a 45-minute phone call between Sarah and her lover. They were laughing about me. But the worst part? The voice on the other end belonged to Mark, my older brother. I sat in my car in absolute silence. They discussed how she was going to fake getting pregnant by me so they could raise Mark's child using my money. I did not cry. A strange, cold calm washed over me. I had 1 month until our big anniversary dinner. I booked a private room at the most expensive restaurant in the city and invited everyone. My parents, her parents, Mark, and Mark's wife. Fast forward to the dinner. Everyone is eating and laughing. Then, Sarah makes her tearful pregnancy announcement. Mark comes over and aggressively pats my back, saying, "Congratulations, little brother." I smiled, stood up, and pulled out a small projector. I pointed it at the blank white wall. I said, "I actually have a surprise of my own." Slide 1 was a beautiful picture of our wedding. Slide 2 was a screenshot of a text message from Mark to Sarah, saying, "I cannot wait until he thinks my baby is his." The room went dead silent. Slide 3 was an audio waveform. I hit play. The room filled with the high-definition audio of Sarah and Mark plotting their disgusting plan. My mother gasped. Mark's wife dropped her fork, looking at him in absolute horror. Sarah turned pale white and started hyperventilating. I did not yell. I did not scream. I just looked at Sarah and said, "By the way, I had a vasectomy 3 years ago, so good luck explaining how a ghost got you pregnant." I calmly picked up my coat, left a $100 bill on the table for my steak, and walked out. Today, Mark is divorced and living in a cheap motel, and Sarah is a single mother begging me to take her back. I just leave her on red. Wow, I cannot even imagine the absolute shock on his brother's face. That is what I call pure, unfiltered karma. By the way, if you have made it this far into the video, it means you are loving the chaos. So please, take 1 second to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Trust me, the stories are only going to get way more toxic from here. Alright, let us keep this chaotic energy going. Moving on to story number 2. I stood at the altar, looking deeply into my fiancé's eyes. But instead of reading my beautiful wedding vows, I pulled out a stack of printed text messages between him and my maid of honor. We had a $50,000 wedding, and I decided to burn it all to the ground while wearing a white dress. 3 weeks before our wedding, my fiancé left his iPad unlocked on the kitchen counter. A notification popped up from Jessica, my best friend of 10 years and my maid of honor. It said, "I can still taste you from last night." My heart stopped. I clicked the message and found a 6-month-long conversation filled with hotel receipts, graphic photos, and jokes about how boring I was in bed. I wanted to scream, throw his iPad out the window, and cancel the wedding right there. But then I remembered something very important. Jessica's wealthy parents had just paid $20,000 for our wedding catering and open bar as a gift to us. If I canceled now, they would get a refund. I wanted them to lose that money. So, I smiled. I went to my dress fittings with Jessica. I kissed my cheating fiancé every night. Meanwhile, I quietly packed all my belongings into a storage unit and transferred my half of the savings into a private account. Finally, the big day arrived. 200 guests were seated. The flowers looked beautiful. I walked down the aisle, looking like an absolute angel. The priest smiled and asked us to share our personal vows. My fiancé read a fake emotional speech about how I was the love of his life. Then, it was my turn. I looked at him, smiled, and pulled out the printed screenshots. I leaned into the microphone and said, "I did not write any vows, but I think Jessica's texts from last Tuesday sum up our relationship perfectly." I read the most graphic, disgusting messages out loud to the church speakers. You could hear the gasps echoing in the room. My fiancé tried to grab the microphone, but my dad, who was standing nearby, stepped in front of him. I turned to a crying, terrified Jessica, threw my engagement ring directly at her face, and said, "He is your problem now. Thanks for the free $20,000 party." I walked right back down the aisle, got into the getaway car with my younger sister, and went on my 2-week honeymoon to Bora Bora without him. If you thought the wedding disaster was bad, this next one is a certified psychological masterpiece. Do not ever mess with a quiet person, because they always play the long game. Let us dive straight into story number 3. For 7 years, my toxic mother-in-law made my life a living hell. She constantly told my husband he could do better, and she always compared him to his older brother, who was her absolute golden child. She loved talking about her pure family bloodline and family legacy, so when I accidentally discovered a massive secret from her past, I knew exactly how to completely destroy her. I bought the entire family DNA testing kits for Christmas, pretending it was just a fun, trendy family activity. She laughed and said it was a stupid waste of money, but everyone took the test anyway. Fast forward 1 month to our big Sunday family dinner. The results had just been emailed to everyone. We all sat at the dining table as my father-in-law opened his phone to read the family tree. The room went completely dead silent. The DNA results showed that my husband's older brother, the golden child, was only a half-sibling. The father was not my father-in-law. The father was my father-in-law's best friend. My father-in-law turned completely pale, looked at his wife, and asked what this meant. She burst into tears, covered her face, and ran out of the house. I just sat there, quietly sipping my red wine. Today, they are going through a very messy divorce, and my mother-in-law is completely cut off from all the family wealth. Best Christmas gift I ever bought. Oh man, sipping wine while watching the family fall apart is top-tier villain energy, and I am absolutely here for it. But wait until you hear this final story. This one has a plot twist. So good, it should be a movie. Let us get into our final story of the day. My boyfriend of 3 years looked me in the eyes, told me he was tired of me, and ordered me to pack my bags and get out of our apartment. He said he was moving his new girlfriend in by the weekend. He laughed in my face, and told me that since he pays the rent directly to the property management company, I have absolutely zero rights to stay. I did not cry. I did not beg. What this arrogant idiot did not know was that I actually inherited this entire apartment building from my grandfather 2 years ago. I am the property management company. I kept it a secret to see if he loved me for me or just for my money. Clearly, I got my answer. So, I packed my bags and left without saying a single word. The very next morning, I had my lawyer serve him with a strict legal eviction notice for breaking the lease terms by attempting to move an unauthorized tenant into the unit. He called the property management number furiously, demanding an in-person meeting with the building owner to get it sorted out. When he stormed into the management office the next day, ready to scream at the owner, I was sitting quietly in the big leather chair behind the boss's desk. The color completely drained from his face when he realized he just made himself homeless. Imagine walking into the office to yell at your landlord, and it is the girlfriend you just kicked out. Absolute perfection. Which of these 4 crazy stories was your favorite today? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed these messy Reddit stories, please hit that like button, subscribe to Tales of Reddit, and turn on notifications for more daily karma. See you in the next one.